I wanted to pull out my crystal ball to try and give some predictions for the 2026 new construction market in DFW, but I couldn't find it and Amazon was delayed. So I'm going to do my predictions without it, and hopefully they're still accurate and give you some insight into what I think is going to happen here in DFW, specifically with new construction homes in 2026. Couple thoughts on what I see, what I feel like it's coming, a few anecdotes of, maybe just some points to help you figure out your game plan for 2026. Now, I do want to just preface it right off the bat, and I am going to tell you straightforward, this is not one of those like doom and gloom, like sky is falling videos. I promise you it's not that. There are plenty of other YouTubers here in DFW that sell real estate that do that. This is not going to be that. I'm not trying to scare anybody, also not trying to pressure anybody. So if you want doom and gloom, it's not going to be that. This is coming from, what we see in our experience. This is coming from the 75 new construction homes that we sold last year here in 2025. So that's where this insight's coming from. Some of the other people just may not have that breadth of experience, and it's not bad. It's just, I'm just telling you, this is kind of how we see this, or how I see this. And I'm just going to be honest with you. If you're waiting for prices to crash, you're probably going to be waiting a long time. I've got some data points to show you here in just a second. And I don't think that's going to be the case. I also don't think this is a year, if you're hoping and you're like, oh, I'm going to hope on this, and I'm going to hope on that. 2026 is not going to be the year that rewards hope. It's going to be the year that rewards preparation. And I think if we do the right preparation, you can be successful in finding the home that you want here in DFW. If we haven't met before, my name is Zach. My team and I, we sell new construction real estate, and that's all we do here in DFW. So whether you're already here or you see all the amazing things going on in DFW and you're trying to get here, I want to be a resource and help you any way I can. So I've got, I've got like 8 predictions that I want to talk through and what these mean for you for 2026 if you're in the market to buy a new home. So prediction number 1, a pricing crash is unlikely, but I do think we're going to see great deals continue to exist. So is pricing going to fluctuate? Yes. Are we going to see hundreds of thousands of dollars of crashes? No. We're going to see movement both up and down throughout the year. I mean, for some neighborhoods, we've already seen some builders cut all their prices toward the end of the year. And then, for whatever homes they didn't sell, some of them are like, oh, well, we're just going to raise them back up to reflect the market. Yeah, that was a real email I got from somebody who was like, oh, to reflect the market conditions. I'm like, what market conditions? So it is what it is. So crash is not going to happen. I want to show you here in just a second on my screen over here, the data points to back this up. So it's just not me saying this, but I also think if you are prepared and you're looking in the right spaces, we are going to find good deals. They will exist, but a crash is, again, you're going to be waiting a long time. So we need to, get out of the noise of that, get out of the thoughts that that's going to happen, and just wait and see what happens with those micro adjustments. So look, let me put you guys over. Let me do this, and let me put myself in the corner. All right. So here's what we've got so we're looking at the stats and the trends, because I think this is what backs up this most effectively, right? So if we look at it, so my blue line is Collin County. So this is like our Friscos, our Prospers, our Salinas, Melissas, Annas, all of that kind of to the north, if you're unfamiliar with DFW. My red line is Rockwall County, kind of a small county off to the east side. I think it's probably one of the best buys you can find right now. Tarrant County, which would be a lot of Fort Worth. So like the northern part of Fort Worth, where we've had a lot of success with some people getting good deals if they're looking on that side. And then Ellis County, which would be kind of down south. So like the Midlothian, Waxahachie area of the Metroplex. So kind of covering the 4 corners. I excluded Dallas County on this initial one just because there's not a whole lot in Dallas proper. And of course, we're looking at just new construction. So if we look back and we say, hey, the start of January 2025, this was the median. Actually, I want to do it on average. So let's do the average home price in these counties. So January 2025, Collin County 464, Rockwall County 545, Tarrant County 482, and Ellis County 439 was our average purchase price of things that were listed on MLS January 2025. We get to December, let's see where we ended up. Collin County went down a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, to 420. Rockwall County was actually up a little bit. Rockwall 545, 520. Okay, so Rockwall is down a little bit as well. Tarrant County 452 and Ellis County 452. So again, not seeing these massive dips, but we are seeing a little bit of micro movements in a lot of different markets. And we're going to come back to this too in a little bit and look at a couple other, like actually get granular and look at a couple cities, because I think there's an important point to make with that. But while we're here, I want to also let's look at the closed sales, just out of curiosity. So new construction closed sales. Collin County, we started the year at 411, Rockwall 58, Tarrant 174, and Ellis 84. We ended the year, Collin County 706 in the month of December, Rockwall 96, Tarrant 313, and Ellis 138. And so you can kind of see this, all of these graphs, these grew. We still have people transacting here in DFW. We have a ton of people moving into the market that are transacting. So if you're looking for, again, you're looking for that crash to happen in 2026, it is not going to happen. I just think it's unlikely. That is probably my number one prediction. Number two, as we talk about this, and I've been trying to figure out the best way to word this and to say it in a way that makes sense, but to say it in a way that doesn't, and to say it in a way that just kind of helps, right? And so the wording I came up with is like the price tag, I think, is going to be the decoy. And I think the payment is going to be the game. So what you're going to see happen is you're going to see a lot of builder sales reps and a lot of lenders and a lot of real estate agents, probably myself included, for good or for bad, talk more about the monthly payment than they are going to talk about the big number. I think incentives as a whole are going to stay strong. So where we're seeing builders pull $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 in closing costs, a 4.99 fixed rate, or a 3-2-1 buy down that locks at a 4.99, or appliances or price reductions. We've been in that market for probably 12 to 15 months. And I think we're going to see builders continue to do pretty much the same thing, so long as rates kind of stay where they are. Now, I want to tell you this. Last year, I was looking back at our numbers because this is one of the things we track. So across all of our 75 transactions, we track. One of the things I like to track is incentive dollars and money saved. And I just have to tell you, like, looking back at the numbers, we were close to 7 figures in dollars saved for clients. So I tell you that on one hand to be like, oh, that's really cool. I wish we would have crossed $1 million. That's the goal for this year. But I'm saying that B, because that's where we're finding the best help for our clients to put the deals together, right? So if the builders are spending, if they're willing to spend the money to get your rate down, and they are, we need to take advantage of that. So you're going to hear a lot of conversations surrounding monthly payment, and maybe, the price tag, everybody's like, oh, we got to get it off the price. We got to get off the price. Yes, you want the price to move a little bit, but you don't want them to do it all on pricing, because from a financial standpoint, I don't know that helps you the best. I think what helps you the best is your cash to close and your monthly payment numbers. I think those are things that make the biggest difference, at least in my book. Someone may disagree, but those are things that make the biggest difference in my book. And as long as we see rates, let's pull it up. As long as we see rates north of 6, we're going to continue to see builders put incentive dollars out there. So as of their time of recording this video, what do we got? We got focus, maybe it'll 6.19. So as long as we see rates north of 6, buyers are going to expect incentives from builders. Now, what happens when those rates start to dip? Now, and if you look at anybody that is way more intelligent than I am, they all seem to think that we're going to have a rate cut in 2026. Will we? I don't know. But I think if rates dip, incentives are going to shrink and prices are going to creep, right? If people if they can see a rate that starts with a 5 from the market, I think you're going to see more people start to get into the market, and it's going to up the competition level. It's also going to lower the incentive rates. So you're going to kind of have this inverse. So my theory is, if you're thinking of making this move in 26, you probably want to try and strike as quick as you possibly can to go ahead and get those rates and get those best incentives. I think a lot of people are looking to engineer the payment, right? And in a way, I think this is really, really smart. So this is not about hunting lowest price. This is about engineering the best payment. And so what I like to do is, hey, we can figure this out for whatever makes sense for you and your family, right? If we need to figure out, hey, we have some clients that take a temporary buy down because of their goals. We have other clients that take the permanent buy down because they know they're staying in this house long term. We've had others that say, hey, we're strapped on cash and we need to cover our closing costs. And that's really what I'm trying to tell you as the buyer, you have some flexibility in this market. I don't know how long that will stay. Again, if competition rises with a falling rate, if it rises, you're going to lose a little bit of flexibility. But right now, I feel like you as a consumer looking to buy, you have tons of ways to win, and we can kind of help organize and orchestrate that to put something together that makes sense for you. Obviously, we got to find the house that you love, find what makes the most sense. But once we do that, working with us, working with their lender and saying, hey, here, what can we do to make something attainable? I think you're going to hear a lot of conversation around that coming out of the builders. And so use it to your advantage, right? Use the concept. And again, we want the best incentive. We don't always want the biggest incentive because you want what's best. So trying to empower you with that and tell you this is here to stay until the market shifts. So we should go take as much of their money as we can and make it a favorable deal for you and your family. Number 3, prediction. I feel like, I probably know a lot of builders are going to lean into the idea of putting more inventory on the ground, right? So when it comes to the option of, hey, we're going to do a full build job and it's going to take us 6 to 8 months, and there's going to be a lot of decisions. I don't know that they want to do that. I think there's still going to be some that do, but I mean, we've seen in the last couple of years, a few builders for example, Trophy and Meritage have basically eliminated the build option and say, hey, we only sell once it hits a certain stage in inventory. I don't know that other builders are going to totally eliminate that, but I do think they're going to lean into getting inventory on the ground to allow people to make more decisions quickly and not have to stretch out the timeline, and also be able to advertise, hey, we're doing these lower rates. We're doing the 4.99s of the world. We're doing the 4.75s. And those are a whole lot easier from a builder standpoint for them to do based on how the market works on a short-term scenario versus buying them out on a long-term. You're probably not going to find something like that on a long-term build job. You're probably going to use the term most likely flex cash is what they're going to look at. So you need to use this to your advantage and look at some of the inventory that they're holding on to. If you can also use this to your advantage and say, hey, what's some of that long-standing inventory, right? Some of those things that they've held on to for a while. And honestly, you might find the best deal on the house that the builder is tired of looking at. Now, not a word of caution, but let me just give you some thoughts on that. So sometimes people will say, oh, they've always got more room to go. They've always got more room to go. In theory, they might, but that room to go might be $5,000 or $15,000 more, maybe. Some of the builders, like I had a phone call this morning before shooting this video, and one of our sales reps, we had some clients out looking, and they said, hey, they found a house they liked, but I just want you to know, like, they've told our management has dropped them to the bottom dollar that we have. And I'm like, do I believe that? Maybe. I believe that they're not going to entertain anything further than that. So we have to get creative in how we build their deal. So that you're going to see that, especially early in the year, they're going to drop those deals a little bit. And then you just kind of have to figure out how to engineer it. So with the standing inventory piece, also with the incentive piece. So pairing these two together, it's a fine line of how far they're willing to go down, right? Because the builders have the obligation of protecting all of their other clients that they have under contract, protecting all of their comps for their future sales. So what they will often do is when you can take the incentive dollars and those in a way can be hidden in a transaction, you still get the benefit of it, but it doesn't mess up everything else that they have going on, right? So saying, hey, can I get an extra $5,000 in closing costs versus can I get, $5,000 off the price? One of those they might be more likely to say yes to, because they don't have, like, nobody else outside of your deal has to know that. And truthfully, you don't want them treating you like you're special. Like, I know we all are, our moms all told us we were the best and we were special. But you don't want that, because like if you think, oh, I can come in and lowball everything and get a really good deal, and then I'm really excited about that. But truthfully, you don't want them saying yes to that deal to every other person in your neighborhood, because then it feels like it devalues the home that you bought, right? So there's this tension of how do we do this and how do we navigate this? So if you can, I would say start looking this year at quick move in inventory. Those are going to be the places I think you're probably going to find your best deal. Another caveat on this is the challenge you're going to find if you have a home to sell. So if you're selling and then trying to buy from a builder, the builder's looking at a contingency. So like if they're saying, hey, you can't close on this home unless you sell your other home, they are scared of those contingencies right now. They've taken a lot over the last year, just kind of in general, and they've seen more or less a gridlock in some places on the resale market, and they can't continue to do that. So they are getting very, very hesitant with their contingencies. I will tell you, on an inventory home, it is almost non-existent. Like they are saying, we can't do that. If this home is done and it's completed, they are very, very worried about doing something like that. On a build, they're a little bit more flexible, and again, just depends on the builder, but they want to know that you're going to be able to close and, you know, take possession of this home. Now, I will say, if you're looking at this and you're like, well, what about if we have our home under contract? Well, that's a very different conversation, right? Like if you can go to the builder and say, hey, we're selling our house, it closes on the 31st of this month, so anytime after that, we can close on our house. That's very different. We have a buyer versus, hey, we just put our house on the market, we don't know when we're going to get a buyer, or hey, we're about to put our house on the market. And then I'm just telling you, don't get mad when they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do that. Like, I'm just put that mentally in your head. That it's not gonna work. But if you don't have that house to sell, you don't have those contingencies, you need to be looking at inventory homes. Those are gonna be some of the best deals, and you're gonna see more and more builders put more inventory on the ground. Prediction number 4. I think in a lot of places, and I've proven this out with a couple of conversations already, I think standard features are going to get cut as builders progress through the year. So you're gonna see in a lot of neighborhoods, hey, where the 8-foot doors used to be standard. Well, they're not standard anymore. You upgraded the kitchen and it included the pot and pan drawers, and now it's an additional charge. Hey, it used to have a smart home package, or it used to have well, they used to finish out their garages, and now these builders are not finished. They're just leaving them at drywall and tape, or we've seen builders, hey, we went from a 10-year warranty to a 6-year warranty. I think you're going to see a lot of this across the board where builders are cutting their standard features. And I wish I could give you some long, great explanation as to why that's happening, but I don't have it. The short answer that I understand, and the short answer is it's all about margins, right? So builders are still trying to be profitable, and they're getting squeezed on the development cost, on the labor cost, on the material cost. They're getting squeezed all these different directions. And now I know you're all going to listen to this and you're like, oh, play the, get the violin out, like pity party. Like I get it. Trust me. I 100% get it. But I'm telling you that's what we are hearing, and that's what we are seeing. And so what they're going to do is they are pulling back on some of their standard features. So you, as the buyer, if you're building, you're going to have to, upgrade to get some of those things. Couple things to point out on this. If you're early in the year, probably first 2 quarters, and you find a home that was started in 25, shop it against that home that was started in 26. There's a good chance in that same neighborhood, the 25 home may have more features than what your new start in 26 has. So you're gonna see this kind of move in and out on this one. The other pro tip here is, as you go into neighborhoods, ask the sales reps, right? Hey, can we get a copy of the standard features for this floor plan? Hey, can we also get a copy of the standard features for this neighborhood? Because sometimes the same one builder will build that floor plan in multiple neighborhoods, and based on the community, you'll have different standard features. So you just ask them, hey, what are the standard features? Can I see my standard feature sheet for this floor plan? Can I see them for this neighborhood to make sure we're in alignment with what we're getting? The other thing is, if you're thinking about building on this one, ask for the additional incentive money, right? Negotiate for the things that add permanent value. So the structure and the lot, leave off some of those finishes that you can do later. There's some things that we should say yes to them in design. If you have questions about that, we have whole videos on those. There's some things that I'm like, maybe you shouldn't say yes to them. You just ask, right? And see what's possible. Now, again, caveat, because I'm trying to set you up with preparedness, right? I told you at the beginning of the video, 2026 is going to reward the people who are prepared, not the people that are hopeful. But I want to be realistic with you on this. When we're asking, hey, can we get extra money for design? It's not like, hey, you've got 20, can we get 70? No. Hey, we've got 20, can we get 25? Hey, we've got 25, can we get, 31? Things like that, right? And of course, the higher you move up in your budget, the more they're willing to add in because the more margin that they have. Now, on the standard features, I will say a lot of our builders that we see north of that 700 price point with some of our buyers, we haven't seen the standard feature cut there. It's really, unfortunately, it's our entry point buyers. So like our 350 up to our 500 and 600. Those are the ones where it's like, man, we feel like we're getting cutbacks on standard features, and it sucks. Like I don't know how else to say that. It is what it is, and we just have to navigate it as best we know how. But that goes into number 5. So I told you what's happening. So my second prediction so they're going to cut standard features. Number 5 is I think you're going to continue to see phase pricing increases and lot premiums increase as developments go on. So what this means is developers ultimately hold the keys in all of these deals, right? So they go in because land is the only finite resource we have. We will run out of it one day. So they hold the keys on what can be done. So they go to the builders and say, hey, you want these lots? This is what it's going to cost you. And the builder's like, well, how do we make that work with what we've got? So what do we cut to help make this work, to not raise our prices by, $70,000 and they have to figure that out. And I think you're going to see these continue to jump as you go deeper in developments. So I was out in Montera, which is a neighborhood in Fate. They're getting ready to start phase 2 here this year. The base pricing for them compared to where they ended phase 1 is a little bit higher. And I was asking some of the sales reps, I was like, what's going on? They're like, man, we're paying more for each lot than we were in phase 1. So lot premiums are higher. They're trying to figure this out, right? So if this is kind of the point where I tell you, if you're buying early in a development, you're buying early in the neighborhood, you're still going to find some of the best deals, right? If you're buying later in development, I would focus on trying to get as much of the incentive dollars out of the builder as you can, because you're going to have to cover for that price difference. The other thing too is, depending based on what we think on our feature cuts, you may have a better home with your house. If you bought early on, then somebody else gets later on down the road because they didn't get all the standard feet. You got a kitchen upgrade that was included. You got the 8-foot doors and they're having to pay to get those, right? So if you love a community, the earlier you can get into it, I think the better off you would be. This is how I think we're seeing people win, and it gives them an opportunity to build it out. But I do think until builders start to fight back against the developers, and I don't even know what that would look like, the pricing is going to continue to increase. There's also some pieces of this that every builder markets and sells differently. It'll be like, hey, in this neighborhood, every 5 sales, we're going to raise the price. Well, why? And it's like, because we can. And it's like, well, that's so dumb. I wish I wouldn't do that, but not in control. So you're going to see those things. You're going to continue to see the price fluctuate and grow. So far, our 5 points, we said, hey, there's not going to be a crash. Again, you're going to hear a lot of conversation around monthly payment, not necessarily big pricing. The winning pieces are the standing inventory. You're going to see standard features get cut as we go through the year. Phase pricing is going to go up. Lot prices, land is going to get more expensive. So all of those things, we've got 3 more. I've got 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 3 more to go through. And I just want to say to you, if you have questions, I'm here to help, right? Contact information, as always, is right down below. If we can have a conversation about what makes sense for you and your family, call, text, email, schedule a Zoom meeting, whatever you need. Here to help with that. Or maybe you're like, you know what, we're not there yet. That's fine. You just want to keep seeing content like this. You subscribe to the channel. We've got content every single week that'll help you be ready and prepared when the time comes for you in 2026. All right, so we're on number 6. And now for number 6, we're going to end up back on the chart. So for all of my number nerds, you're going to hopefully enjoy this. DFW as a whole is not going to be up or down. I think you're going to see the continued fractioning of our market, and it's going to continue to be more micro markets, right? So like what happens in Frisco is going to be very different than what happens in Mansfield, or what happens in Justin is going to be different than what we see happen in Rockwall, right? So you're going to see growth in some areas. You're going to see some slowing in other areas. You're going to see everybody, flocking and being like, oh, we got to get up north. We got to get up north. And like, cause you see all these people talk about like all the cool stuff that's going on up there. And then pricing just jumps way through the roof, right? And truthfully, by the time everybody agrees, yeah, this is the area, this is where we want to be, the deals are already like crazy. So you got to try and find those places where you can get in early. I'm going to show you some on the stat sheet that might be ones to consider. But the other thing I want to kind of point out to you, and this is for my out-of-state buyers, like your job's bringing you to DFW, you have family in DFW, or you're just like looking for a change. I need you to hear me on this one. DFW is massive. And so I had somebody last week, they called and they were like, hey, my job is up in the Colony area. I'm like, awesome, we can work with that. Like, what have you seen? What are you looking at? And they're like, well, we heard about this area called Waxahachie. And I was like, well, first of all, said it wrong, Waxahachie. But secondly, that drive is not going to be fun. Like that's a solid hour at least every single day. So just know, like, we have to be kind of strategic in where we're going, and what you experience on one side of the Metroplex may be totally different than what you see on the other. And I want to show you, so let me put you back on right over here. So we did the counties. Let's do a couple pieces inside Collin County just to show you. So like everybody talks about this one, right? So Prosper, everybody talks about Frisco. Everybody asks about Salina, and another one that's another good one up that way would be, McKinney. So 4 cities all right next to each other, 4 cities that all have great schools, great locations. And I want you to see the difference in the median or the average sale price and what's going on in their market. So January 2025, Prosper average new construction sales price $915. Frisco 1.1 million, Salina 617, McKinney 530. December of that year, we ended up at Prosper 975, up almost 50 grand. Frisco up to 1.3 million, so a $200,000 increase, or whatever that shows, 30%. Salina 547, McKinney 481. So Salina is the only one that dropped a little bit, and that's just because they had more inventory going on in those spaces. So micro markets, right? So what happens here is a little bit different than what's happening in like a Rockwall, and we'll go there. But see, then we go in and look, let's just, while we're here, month supply. Started January at 445 and 3, ended the year at 445 and 2, right? So we've got our month supply. And then look at this, closed sales. January 2025, 18, 22, 62, 65. Ended the year 36, 35, 112. Look at that for Salina. So Salina 62, Salina almost doubled. Again, not going to be a crash. So micro markets, you're looking for great schools, great communities, and places where you have some oversupply, right? So like, again, not necessarily up here, but let's look at another option. Let's just kind of come on the east side. Let's do the Rockwalls. Let's go Rockwall. Let's go Heath. Actually, no, let's do McLean and Chisholm. McLean and Chisholm. Let's do Forney. And let's do, whatchamacallit? Where do we want to go? Let's do a secret sleeper of mine, Sunnyvale. I like this one a lot. All right, sales price, same thing. Average sales price, January, $595 in Rockwall, McLean 558, Forney 364, Sunnyvale 880. Ended the year, Sunnyvale pushed $200,000 up to $1 million. Forney 351. Again, Rockwall 660, McLean and Chisholm 707. So different pocket of the market doing different things. If you're looking, and again, trying to give y'all some secret sleeper picks. You've watched this video this long. Rockwall's a great area, low property taxes, great schools, good option there. Sunnyvale, like great little pocket if you can find something that fits. Obviously a little bit more expensive on the budget. If you're looking, we've had a lot of success over on this side of the Metroplex as well, with a few people buying in the northern part of Fort Worth. which has been a growth corridor if it makes sense for your your life, your community, things. I'm just going to delete that one right now because we've just got these three. Justin, Northlake, Hazlet, average sales price. Again, 409 in Justin, Northlake 650, Hazlet 490. Finished the year, Justin was up to 436, Northlake 673, and Hazlet 543. So another place that I think is probably one of those good opportunity zones if you know what you're looking for and it makes sense to be on that side of the Metroplex. And of course, down south, like the Mansfields, Midlothians, Waxahachie's. So micro markets in DFW, you can look at everything as a whole, but we need to start laser focusing in. So if you're one of those people that you're like, hey, we're trying to shop this thing, I need you to think less touristy and more like sniper. And let's have a conversation about where you need to be looking to make the best move possible for you and your family. So that was 6. Prediction 7. This one to me, even outside of the cuts on standard features, this one to me is the one that hits home the most. And I want to speak directly to a group of people. If you are looking at buying your first home in 2026, like this is your entry point into the market. And to be fair, we've had people enter the market in the $300,000 range. We've had people enter the market for the first time in the $500,000 range. It really just depends on your circumstance, but regardless, either way, your first home is going to be the hardest. The very first home that you purchase, the very first time that you go through this process is going to be the hardest purchase that you make. And it's only going to get harder the longer this goes, especially here in DFW. And here's why. A, we already have a ton of people on the sidelines ready and waiting and trying to figure it out. B, we are growing. We are probably the 3rd or 4th fastest metropolitan growing area in the nation. And so you bring more people in, you're going to have more competition. It's going to be hard. Couple that with rising purchase prices. You're not finding anything that starts in the $200,000 range. You're just not. And if you do, you're probably buying it way out on the outskirts or with a builder that doesn't make, long-term sense. So rising prices, rising insurance cost, rising property tax rates, and even when we get help from the builder to get that rate down into a 4, you're still looking probably at minimum a $3,000 a month payment, which is crazy. Like saying that it's hard. And I will tell you, but it can be potentially one of the most rewarding things that you do. So if you're the first time buyer in this market, I just want to set the right expectations for you. If you're looking at it, you're like, well, hey, we want to do this and we want our payment to be, $2,000, $2,500 a month. You're probably not going to be able to do it unless you're putting a huge chunk of money down, because our property taxes alone in most neighborhoods, you're looking at anywhere between $600 and $1,000 a month, depending on your purchase price in your neighborhood. And it sucks. Like it's hard. So you really need to reframe your mindset of, hey, we're closer to minimum $3,000 a month. And the only way we're finding some help with that is, again, we're getting that incentive dollar from the builders to get our rates down. If you're a VA buyer and you qualify for a disability, you've got some advantages there that you earn that you can take advantage of. If you're curious about how to use that, we've got a whole video on our channel on VA benefits, but it's going to be hard. So for my first time people, I need you to understand, hey, you're going to live in this house for 5-7 years. You're going to grow your family. You're going to make some more money. You're going to move on. This is your starting point. This is your entry point. It does not have to be perfect. You also don't have the budget that your parents have or the other generations have had in the past. It sucks. I get it. I'm right there with you. When we bought our first house in 2017, what we paid for it then, I'm like, that it's crazy to think about what I thought it was crazy then, let alone what the markets have become 9 years later, right? So it's going to be hard. We want to help you. We want to walk through it. I'm telling you, we did, I think of our 70 whatever transactions last year, probably 25 or 30 of them were first time buyers. And guys, it is so rewarding. Like for those of you that when we get to that finish line and you have that house for the first time, it can be done. I want you to know, again, 2026 rewards preparedness, not hope. And so if we're trying to prepare, this is the thing that I want to help you with. So we want to look at the right spaces. We want to look at the right builders. You're not limited to some of these less than ideal quality builders that I know you hear that, hey, this is the only thing we can do. You're not limited there. I want to try and show you some other options. It may stretch us on location. It may have to, figure out some budget stuff. But I just want you to know you can do it. And it's going to be the hardest one you buy is the first one. And anything after that, we figure it out, and it has its own challenges, but it's only going to get harder the longer you wait. So if this is your year, I want you to, again, I want to have a conversation with you. Or if you're watching this right now and you're like, Zach, I'm not even ready. I don't know. I built our website specifically. I'm going to put it right in the corner right here. QR code, scan it. Or if you're on your phone, look at the description down below. You can browse builders, floor plans, communities, all new construction stuff, and just kind of get a feel for it. I promise you, I'm not going to blow up your phone and spam you for looking at it. I'm here for you when you're ready. But if that's your next step, I want you to take that step too. Like just start looking and see what's out there. So last one, you've stuck this long. I'm going to try and wrap this up. Number 8 prediction. This is the one for me, I think is more like a, I don't know if it's a prediction or if it's just like a thought to be aware of, but I am somewhat worried about with the continued use of incentive dollars. I'm somewhat worried about appraisal numbers. Now, I will tell you, in all of our transactions in 2025, we did not have a single person have an appraisal issue. We had several people that had, positive appraisal gaps. So what does that mean? Hey, they were under contract for, 450, and then the appraiser, which is the third party, for the lender, came in and said, hey, your house is actually worth 480 based on the numbers that we could find, right? We didn't have anybody where it was the inverse, where it's like, oh, you're under contract for 480, it only appraised for 450. Now, I had friends and other teammates that did have some of those issues that we had to navigate. So just be mindful of it. It's kind of one of those, hey, the incentives are great and they're real until the appraisal says, yeah, that's cute. No. So you just need to know what happens. Like, read your contracts with the builder. Like, hey, if it doesn't appraise, who's on the hook for it? Most of the time, unfortunately, it is you. Some builders will renegotiate with you depending on the gap. The challenge is, like, if you're building and you overbuild for your neighborhood, like you go in and throw all this stuff in the home and it's the most expensive home in the neighborhood, you don't want to be that. You want to be right in the middle of the neighborhood, pricing. We've talked before. I think the fair, if you're going to build somewhere, figure probably 12 to 17% of your base price would be your total expense in upgrades. And that'll probably put you right in the midpoint of your neighborhood. So read your contract, see what is in there in terms of what happens if there's an appraisal issue. I don't know. I just know, like, coming out of 21, 22, 23, when everything went bananas, banks kind of tightened up their appraisals. But again, personally, I didn't have anybody have any issues last year. So knock on wood for that one, right? Maybe just keep it in the back of your mind. Again, just a thought of, like, hey, we might see something happen with that as pricing fluctuates and deals move. And now I know somebody's going to be in the comments and tell me, oh, like, yeah, it's of course, because everything's overpriced and it's so expensive. Listen, the house is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, and it's only worth what the banks are willing to lend on it. And I hold solace in that. So that's my kind of 8 predictions. Again, this was not meant to scare you. This was not meant to doom and gloom you, but this was also not meant to pressure you. Like, ultimately, I want you to make the decision that makes the best sense for you and your family. And for some of you, that is continuing to rent. It is not buying. And for some of you, you're like, nope, we're ready. We need to move. We got to upgrade. We got to come to DFW, whatever it is. Again, I'm here to help answer any questions. If you have them, please leave them down in the comments below. Or if you want to talk face-to-face, let's set up a time to chat. Send me an email. Again, here to help, whatever we can do. Planning that move in 2026, I want you to be prepared, and I want you to have all the tools possible to make the best decision you can. We're excited. So here for you any way we can. See you in our next video. Bye.